Welcome to Resi Studio again. So in this video, I would like to share some stuff or issues that I have encountered when I'm prototyping mobile input like touch input mixed with buttons. So before diving in, I'm going to show you some example on what you can do for a game on the mobile side. So I have this screenshot of a game called Inside published by PlayDead. As you can see, it has a very clean look where the controls are touch-based and very little UI on the game. You can also go more on the complex side like Call of Duty Mobile and Blaster 2. Both are using buttons input and touch input based controls. So while trying to actually do something similar in my personal projects, I found out that you can't mix touch input and buttons without tweaking some stuff. So let me explain. In the following example, I have a small script that is currently tracking the position of the touch input and is adding a number every time I touch the screen. Now I have something similar on the button that is adding a number when I press it. So let me run this little project here. I'm touching my phone screen in the simulator. Every time I touch it, this little number will go up. Watch what happens when I do the same for the button. It's adding up the button. So as you can see, both numbers from the touch input and the buttons are adding up even if I am just pressing the button. The thing is that touch input cannot distinguish if you have a button on your game. For it, the button is part of the string. So if you have something like swipe up, down, left, and right, and you also want to use a button on your game, you can actually do it, but both input will collapse. So both inputs will run at the same time. So you need to actually play around with your code in order to ignore the buttons. There's different ways you can actually do this. So if you're making a 2D game, you can actually make something like a dead zone near where the buttons are. I have a small project here. So here, I do have like a small game object that is actually being my dead zone positions. This is a little capsule I have in the corner. If I run it, I'm touching the screen, but as soon as I go to the right side of the screen, what happened? Touch position actually doesn't work, so I'm clicking the button. Let me show you the code. See? So I am determined to activate the touch position, but you cannot activate it if you're near the dead zone position of the game object that I actually using. So this is like a cheat way to do it in a 2D. I have used it in some of my personal projects. Testing projects actually works. There is another way you can actually do it. It's another approach that you can use an event called isPointer over game object. This will return a true or false statement if your mouse cursor or a finger is on top of a game object. You need to actually play around with this method since I have found it has some sort of delay. So don't worry, I will show you a small example. Going to charge. Safe. Let me show you the code first. In this little method, as you can see, I am returning the event system that I was telling you about isPointer over game object. It will return a true or false statement. If my cursor or my finger is on top of a game object, it's supposed to return a true statement. If it's true, then the touch the touch input cannot run. So let me show you an example here. I'm touching the screen, tapping. As soon as I touch the button, it works, but if you notice, it has some small delay. So if I'm actually here on top of it, so I actually need to play around with this method to see how to incorporate it in my projects. Lately, I am playing around with another approach. This is actually to use a UI panel with a eye pointer down handler. Let me show you another project. Lately, I am playing around with another approach, and it is to use a UI panel with the eye pointer down handler system from Unity. In a small way, this will allow to wherever you attach the script to any game object, it will behave like it was a button. So if you press the game object with the script, it will do a reaction. If you let it go, it will also react to different actions that you can apply. For example, in this project that I have here, that is actually for another video I have in mind, I have a small panel here on the right. So every time I press it either with my mouse cursor or my finger, the ship is supposed to fire. So a little more on the left side, see? Nothing happens. So let me show you the script here. So if I press the panel with the script, I'm going to fire. If I let it go, then it will stop firing. So this is another approach. So it actually works also in 3D games, especially if you want to control the camera. This is another approach that I've been testing it. But if you use this method with the panel, it won't allow you to interact with the environment of your game. So since it actually covers the half side of the screen, so you have to actually be smart about it. But this is some ways that I have found if I want to mix touch input and button inputs. In future videos, I will show you some projects that you can make for mobile games and how to use mobile input, tweak it, all of those stuff, and also a little guide on how to upload your game to Google Play Store. So this is some of the stuff that I'm gonna share with you. So thank you for watching. See you on the next one.